At last, after tremendous difficulty, he managed to reach the place he loved most. It came after a bitter ordeal, almost like a nightmare, that had struck only a few hours earlier. During his escape, a hard object aimed at him had hit his foot directly, leaving him injured. Yet in the end, he had managed to flee, endure the pain, and reach his destination, a place that immediately lifted his spirits. As soon as he arrived, he made sure no one else was there. It was a habit he had developed through experience and instinctive intelligence. He always chose to come out late at night, when everyone was asleep, avoiding encounters whenever possible. At that hour, the place was usually safe, allowing him to relax and enjoy a meal without the slightest fear. Throughout his life, he had developed skills that helped him survive. He could sense danger, hide with remarkable speed, and rely on sharp senses that kept him constantly alert and cautious. Despite his large size compared to others who lived in the same area, he could climb and descend with astonishing agility. Yet for all his abilities, he suffered from loneliness. Rarely did he encounter others, and when he did, their contact lasted only a brief moment. There were no conversations, no companionship. The isolation weighed heavily on him, filling him with emotional pain. He often found himself asking existential questions. Why was he here? Did his life have a purpose? Was there something wrong with him? Or was he simply too limited in thought to understand his place in the world? All those questions vanished the moment he discovered a collection of dishes filled with delicious food. The surprise was so overwhelming that he nearly leaped with joy. Immediately, he began moving from one plate to another, feasting eagerly and without the slightest boredom. Then, suddenly, he heard footsteps. Someone was approaching, carrying a lit flashlight. Without hesitation, he hid. He could not make out who had entered. The light was dim, and the visitor remained only a few seconds before leaving just as suddenly as they had arrived, almost as if they were fleeing. The moment the stranger was gone, he returned to the dishes. But this time, fear had crept into his mind. For the first time, he wondered whether his strategy of going out late at night was no longer enough to keep him safe. Then he remembered the early days of his life. He remembered watching his entire family being wiped out before his eyes. His youth had been no less bitter. He had spent years on the streets without a permanent shelter, moving constantly from one place to another in search of safety. Street life was dangerous. Gangs roamed everywhere, never hesitating to kill any vulnerable target they found. Still, he reassured himself, at least it's safer here. At that moment, he heard several distant sounds. A strange sensation washed over him, something he had never felt before. Then came a faint noise drawing closer. A gentle stream of air brushed against him. Along with it came a foul smell. He tried to run, but his injured foot and weakened body betrayed him. A sudden wave of drowsiness overwhelmed him. Before he could understand what was happening, he collapsed onto his back. His vision blurred. The world grew distant. Then he felt a hard object strike him, and within moments, everything was over.